What advice would you give to someone who's going into a leadership position for the very first time? This is a question that I get asked often in my new leadership workshops is, what advice should I take into a new role? So if you're a leader for the very first time, it's really important that you get a strong foundation. The reason why it's important for you to get a strong foundation, if you don't get off on the right foot as a new leader, you're going to run into some challenges. Number one, your team is going to not have any confidence in your ability to take them through the good times, much less the bad times. Secondly, they're going to start to not believe that you deserve the position. And if you have people who have no confidence and they start to believe that you don't deserve the position, here's what's going to happen. People are going to come up with their own ideas and their own focus, and they're going to start working around the pathway that you're trying to lead them down as a leader. On top of that, they may just get fed up and say, why am I working for somebody who doesn't have the competency and the skill set to be a leader? And they're going to leave you. And when that happens, you're going to have turnover problems, you're going to have retention problems, you're going to have productivity problems, and it's going to cost you in terms of outcomes. So if you don't get good advice and have a good framework going into your leadership role for the very first time, you're going to struggle as a leader. And as soon as you start to struggle, you're going to get evaluated very harshly by the people you report to. And guess what? You may be out of a leadership role very, very quickly. And so I don't want you to be out of a leadership role because you're not taking good advice and are not preparing yourself as a leader. So I want to give you 4 pieces of advice that I give to every first-time leader when they step into a new role. It will help you to be successful. Number 1 is you have to recognize that you have to earn your leadership every day. You have to earn your leadership every day. See, that first day on the job as a new leader, you have the title and you have the office. You're given the respect for one day because you earned the title in the office. But now that you have that, you have to earn the respect of your team every day. Don't expect people to bow down to you just because you've been given the title as a leader, because we all have seen too many leaders who get the titles not the right way. They either get hooked up by a friend or a family member, or they just outlasted everybody else and they're the ones that got the promotion. So people could be thinking that about you. And you got to understand that if they think that about you, the only way you change that thinking is to show them that you deserve the respect as a leader. So you have to earn it every day. That means you have to show up and do the things that great leaders do. You have to become that executive that everybody will admire. Now, how do you do that? Well, here's brings me to point number 2, is you have to get to know your people. Now, when I say get to know your people, you really have to understand the team that you lead, what inspires them, what motivates them, what makes them tick, what pisses them off, what do they do well, what they don't do well. These are all basics of being a great leader. How can you leverage the talent of your team if you don't know what they do well and how they are motivated? That's a really important part. A second aspect of getting to know your team is, do you know their spouses or partners' names? Do you know their children's names? Do you know their birth date? Do you know their favorite movie, their favorite book, what side of town they live on, where they grew up? And the most important thing that you should know if you want to be effective as a new leader, and that is, why do they choose to work for you and for your organization? The reason why that's important is because the Great Resignation showed us all one thing, is that nobody is putting up with raggedy bosses and raggedy organizations that don't take care of their people. So they will quit in a minute. And so the question is, why are they choosing to work here? And why are they choosing to work for you? And let me be clear, as a new leader, they didn't choose to work for you. You got the job, you're in the role, but they're evaluating you every day of whether they should continue to work for you. So you should know what their motivations are or why they've chosen to work at the organization and what they expect from a leader. That's the second piece of advice, is to get to know your people. Now, the third thing I'm going to tell you is probably the one that you should have done before you even got the job, before you even applied for the job. And that is to know your leadership values. See, values are critical to how you would execute as a leader. Are your values solid? And when I mean values, what are your non-negotiables as leader? And I'm not saying non-negotiables for your team. I'm talking about non-negotiables for yourself. What standards will you hold yourself to as a leader? So I want to share with you my values as a leader. And these are values that I hold very closely to my heart. And these are non-negotiables. Value number one is service. I will always serve people first before I try to lead you. Service is more important than leadership, in my opinion. Value number two is empowerment. And service is the prerequisite of leadership, but empowerment is the essence. What am I going to do as a leader to give you the tools, to give you the information, to give you the resources so you can determine your own destiny? That's the reason why I'm sharing this video, is because I want to give you tools, information, and resources to help you to be successful. The third value is justice. And when I say justice, is my fundamental belief that as a leader, it is my responsibility to make the world a better place, to make it more right when we all experience wrong. We all know that the world is unfair and people experience unfairness every day. But the greatest leaders are the ones that know that they have the ability and the opportunity to do something to make things better. You may not be able to solve everything, but you can do something to make it right. And for the team that you're now leading as a leader, I'm telling you, there's something wrong on that team. You know why something is wrong? Because you had a predecessor, and that predecessor of yours didn't solve those things that were wrong. And now that's why you're in the role. So the question is, do you want to solve those things and make the world, your organization, your team more fair, more just, and more right? That's what I believe my responsibility is. And my last value that I hold very closely is legacy. And that is, you got to focus on what are you going to do to leave your team and the organization better than you found it. And when your time comes to leave the organization, to get a bigger promotion, to retire, or to go on off to something new that you're passionate about, is your team going to be better off because you were there? Now, I will tell you, you got to focus on those values. Mine is legacy. I don't know what yours are, but you need to come up with your leadership values. So if you come up with your leadership values, then it will help you tremendously to be successful in this new leadership role. Now, the last piece of advice I'm going to give you, it's a real simple one, and that is focus on your personal growth and development as a leader. Well, what do I mean focus on your personal growth? You should be finding a way to invest in yourself as a leader every year, because what got you into this role won't be enough to keep you into this role. What got you here won't keep you here. So you got to develop yourself as a leader, because the world is changing so rapidly. The problems that you will face tomorrow don't exist today. And the only way you equip yourself to be able to address those challenges is by developing yourself as a leader. Now, what am I saying to you? Let me just give it to you in this example. I've never seen a organization outgrow its leadership. So for instance, if you're right here as a leader, your organization is going to grow, but they're going to reach a cap that they're never going to be able to go any higher than you go as a leader. So it's your responsibility as a leader to continue to grow yourself higher and higher and higher, so your organization can go higher and higher. I've never seen an organization outgrow its leader. If it does outgrow its leader, then that leader gets terminated, fired, or sidelined because they're not ready for the growth that the organization is in. I don't want that to happen to you. So I want you to invest in your personal development, your growth and development every year. So let me tell you an example of what do I mean, invest in your personal development. As a leader, you should be spending more on your personal growth and development every year than you spend on car payments in that year. So if you have a car payment that's $500 a month, you should be spending $500 a month on your personal growth and development. That means attending a conference, taking a course, signing up for a workshop or training, doing something to get yourself better as a leader. And you can't learn on your own through osmosis. And reading books is good, but it's not enough. You got to enroll in some classes. You got to get some teaching. You got to get some professional development. Hire a mentor, an executive coach, somebody to help you to get better every year. And you should invest in that. You should not be afraid to spend money. Now, the reason why I say, you should spend money, and I use the analogy of a car payment, because I literally spend more on my personal growth and development every year than I've ever spent on a car payment. And it has not failed me yet. And it's not going to fail you. Now, if you're a wise shopper and investor, and maybe you don't have a car payment and you never had a car payment, well, the barometer should be, you should spend between $500 and $1,000 a month on your personal growth and development. If you're not doing that, then you won't stay in your leadership position long. So I'm telling you now, you got to find a way to invest in your growth and development. So there you have it. The 4 pieces of advice that I'll give to any new leader. This will help you to be successful. If you found something valuable in this video, I want you to drop me a comment. If you feel like this might be valuable to somebody that you know, I want you to share it with them. And I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want you to make sure you follow me on social media, and 100% connect with me on LinkedIn. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic day.